column. This is not drawn to scale, by the way. All right, and then you got nerves running up in here, which are real important stuff. Okay, so at some point you get into the reptilian brain. We're just going to call it DTRM for short. The reptilian brain. Now, as far as I know, if a lady, as Bill Burr calls it, if a lady is asleep and her two babies are in the next room and they are quiet, she don't wake up. If she lives around a freeway and a great big semi truck goes by, she doesn't wake up. But if one of her babies whimpers or cries, she wakes up because she's locked in on them. And this thing, this reptilian brain thing, is the thing who regulates that. This is a hell of a brain. There's a lot of creatures that don't have any more brain than this and get along very fine and are very successful. And this runs our life part of the time. You know, if a person is said to be reptilian, or if I'm going to be very controversial, if one is in the Illuminati, which does not exist. It does not exist anymore because Alfred Weishaupt started it, not Alfred, I forgot his first name. Weishaupt started it in Bavaria in 1776 and it disbanded in 1785. That's according to Robert Anton Wilson. So it does not exist, as far as I know. I haven't seen any New York Times articles on them. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so let's get into this. So, the reptilian brain goes into the mammalian brain. And I'm not going to spell mammalian because I can't spell mammalian. I can spell brain, I think. Okay, the mammalian brain, that's what your dog does. Your dogs, wolves, bears, all those creatures, they all have mammalian brains and they're really smart. They're smart. And that brain works still alive and well in us. I think that brain picks out your girlfriends, that brain courts them, that brain does a lot. A lot going on there. And then you've got the famous cerebral cortex. This is what gets us in trouble. The cerebral cortex. This is what remembers. This is the remembering brain. This remembers, you know, what your Chinese wife did to make you mad 15 years ago that you can't forget. And every time you see something, you think about her. It's that brain, which it sucks. Thankfully, I don't think like that anymore, but I did for a long time. But there's two brains there. You got your right brain and your left brain. Now, according to the new scientists, this stuff doesn't even exist, and it doesn't work like this at all. This is still a very useful model. So you got the right brain, which handles logic. I apologize, which handles art. And the left brain, which handles logic. And it's said to be a brain split. We're said to be divided. Divided selves. That were torn between the right and left. And as you become happier and more well-adjusted, you're said by these smart people to become integrated. Integrated. I didn't spell that very well, did I? Well, we all know segregated is bad. But what am I saying here? What I want to say about the reptilian brain is it controls a lot of our functions, and I think a lot of us are operating in that a lot of the time. I think if you're in a very scary situation like this, over New Year's, I confronted a gentleman. He was a Caucasian, but he was one of these Caucasians who acts like he's black. Okay? And he was with two gentlemen that were African Americans. Okay? And I referred to him with the N word with an A on the end, and they got upset with me about it. And I said, hey, bro, he's white. I'm white. We're brothers. And they really couldn't argue with me, but it was very confrontational. And all three of them looked at me like they were going to beat the living daylights out of me. And my buddies had already left the scene. But I was not scared at all. In fact, I just looked at them with fearlessness and anger. And I was totally caught up in a minute. And nobody did nothing. Nobody said nothing. And I really don't like being in situations like that. And I'm going to avoid that in the future. But at the time, that was my reptilian brain at force. And they saw it full throttle. And I don't think that they moved forward. So I want to say that everything is useful. Your nervous system is useful. Your brain stem is useful. Your mammalian brain is useful. Your right and left brain. It's all useful. But it's important to break it down and to understand it. Okay, that's the beginning. Bye-bye.